Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel on this extremely sad and disappointing day. Now, today marks the last day of the daily super event in MCOC. And must I say that I do sincerely believe that daily super event could have potentially been pretty much the best thing Kabam has done this year at the very least. And I genuinely wanted to make a video expressing my support for the idea and the event itself, as well as just in order to reflect your sentiment, guys, as well, because immediately today, as I arrived home, you can see that there are multitudes of threads made with titles Keep Daily Super Event, and we are back again to 4-hour Crystal, like Daily Super Event, so on and so forth, and that is, the genuine truth and the genuine sentiment of the team. Because the daily super event is exactly more of what this game needs. In every aspect, I already made the video initially when the daily super event started of why I like it so much. And it hit pretty much the biggest pain points that an event structure like that could hit in a game like this. Because this game started as a very small game compared to what it is today. This game initially only had, story content. Then eventually we received side events, monthly event quests. Then we received side events. Then there was like Realm of Legends, Labyrinth of Legends, all that stuff getting added slowly to a point where then we received Alliance quests, Alliance Wars. Now we have Battlegrounds. The game's massive and it requires an incredible amount of mental energy and just thought and care to keep up with everything, and it feels overwhelming for what a mobile video game should be. Obviously, you understand why there are incentive structures for logging in, why there are incentive structures for playing daily, and the daily super event still kind of hit that. And unlike the rest of the scruff that we have right now, unlike the rest of these little thingies that have came back with these weekly and daily objectives and stuff like that, it actually felt meaningful because these crystals do nothing. Like, I'm never gonna log in the game because I want this crystal. I'm gonna get this crystal whenever, if I play the game what I was already going to do. I'm never gonna try and purposely hit all these little checks and marks and balances and ticks in the game to receive those minuscule amounts of, solo shards that have very little individual value to the current game. And that is exactly where we kind of like got ourselves in this trouble in the first place, because these Supreme Solar Crystals initially felt meaningful, but eventually Kabam failed to update them with times, and that, they are objectively outdated. If you are, a Paragon, a Thronebreaker, a Valiant player, you don't really care about these. They need whatever, they can serve purpose, but they hold very little comparative value in the game. And that's because it's so fractured. You don't get these updated nearly often enough. Majority of this stuff is borderline meaningless, and the things that do matter are kind of sprinkled in everywhere in between, but it kind of dilutes the event itself and our attention. With the daily super event, for the first time in quite a while, I was actually reminding myself or checking on myself mentally whether I have hit the milestones. I think I might have missed a day or two because of, personal engagements or a party or something like that. But in general, I was trying to keep up with that event because, number one, I knew exactly what I'm getting for it, and I wanted those rewards. I wanted the tier 4 alpha, I wanted the tier 6 CC or tier 6 basic or whatever else. All the revives, everything else that came with it was also condensed. I knew exactly what it is, and all of that stuff was basically useful for me. And again, for the first time, I felt like an event structure like that was achieving its intended goal, even for the top end players. Because even for the bigger accounts, those tier 4 alphas, you don't get them that much. All those revives that you finally managed to stack up, everything else, it just felt good. Genuinely did. Yes, losing the daily crystal kind of sucks, but again, having the ease of understanding, number one, of this event, having the ability to do it, because a lot of these events you don't really want to do. Like, there is not enough value for you to do all of these individual objectives, or for instance do the event quest completion every time it comes on, so you end up missing rewards and you don't feel great about that. But with the daily super event, you had the feeling that as long as you play the game, as long as you do something, you can hit that mark relatively easily. And those are the things that you can do and we're planning to do anyways, and you might put in a bit of extra effort. For instance, now that we're going to get event quest completion, I'm going to play event quest because of that event. And almost always I'm going to miss it. It's like once in 2 or 3 months, I happen to coincide the time I'm clearing the event quest with when the solo event is coming up. So overall, definitely, I also agree with sentiment that it was an absolute game changer. It felt good. It hit all the issues with this game, taking away so much mental energy and drainage from you, and we need much more of it. We need more of the things in this game condensed into events like daily super event. For instance, another thing that we absolutely have to address in game currently is the Paragauntlet and the Thronebreaker event quest. Thronebreaker event quest at this point is utterly outdated, completely outdated. The only reason I did it this time around was because Battlegrounds were in off season, and I still kind of care about tier 2 dust. And that's about it. But even the tier 2 dust isn't gonna carry the Paragauntlet long. When you look at this, is the highest level of difficulty for monthly event quest. There is not a single reward that holds any value to a Valiant player. There's a bit of tier 3 alpha and tier 6 basic, but it's a minuscule amount compared to what you basically get daily by playing Alliance Quest, or weekly by playing Battlegrounds, and so on and so forth. Daily Super Event has more tier 6 alpha, tier 6 basic, or tier 3 alpha than this. This event doesn't have a single meaningful reward for me, but I'm still forced to play through it, which shouldn't be the case. And then when we look at the Paragauntlet rewards, I do care about this stuff, but barely enough to do this monthly event quest. And I think there are more and more people not playing the monthly event quest. Why? Because it's outdated. And it has to have some sort of quicker alternative. There's no point in forcing Valiant players to play Thronebreaker EQ, for instance. I'd be much, much happier if I could just focus on this. But I'm not allowed to, because Kabam has failed to update this part of the game. And that also is something that the daily super event, or the idea behind the daily super event, solves. Because when daily super event was here, Kabam would have a much easier time keeping it up to date, rather than 10 different things. So here as well, you don't need this many event quests with all these difficulties, with this many parts, and minimum. Like, even right now, playing through Thronebreaker EQ, it takes like 4 or 5 hours for sure, which just is not worth it. You're quite literally better off doing just about anything else. You're better off in Arena, you're better off in Battlegrounds, you're better off doing whatever piece of content you haven't done, rather than doing this piece of content individual at the very least. And that is because BAM is lacking the bandwidth, the wherewithal to keep this up to date. So, I once again implore Kabam to bring back the daily super event, and also focus on the same pain points. Make the game smaller, make the game more condensed, make the game easier to understand. If you do X, you're going to receive that. We don't need 58 currencies, 19 stores. We don't need all of the solo events, objectives, all of that stuff constantly shifting. We need much more clear directives. And I hope, truly I do, that Kabam listens to the player feedback, Kabam understands that themselves. Because in return, they get easier game to manage. In return, they get happier player base. In return, they have less job, or the job is easier to do as well. So to me, this type of thing seems like a win-win. And I hope that they support it, and I hope this kind of initiative carries on forward. So definitely big thumbs up for the daily super event. Big sad that it has gone away. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the